Hi everybody, today I am going to be reviewing the new Erin Condren wall organization system. My honest thoughts, we've been using it for a couple of weeks now. I bought it myself, it was not sent to me, so I want to just give you my full opinion on it, and I have mixed feelings, very mixed. So let's get the first controversy out of the way, the price, because this is a pricey piece of accessory, furniture, it's not furniture, whatever you want to call it. The system itself for the whiteboard and the frame it goes in is $74 plus shipping. Ironically, it's like $1 below the free shipping threshold on the Erin Condren website, which is 75 bucks. Tinfoil hat conspiracy? Maybe. What you get for that $74 is the frame it sits in, and then the board itself, which slides in and out. And the way this works, this isn't like a full frame with like a slit in the top where you slide the board into it. The frame itself is only 3 pieces, like 3 edges, and the top edge is attached to the board, meaning that if you want to change the board out, you have to get one of their boards or risk not having the top of your frame. Tinfoil hat part of me thinks that this was because they wanted to make sure that you couldn't just buy the board and the frame and then replace it yourself with a much cheaper solution to a whiteboard or a dry erase or whatever, and just slip something else in of your own. That if you want to swap it out for a different one, you have to buy their proprietary whiteboards because each of them comes with that top frame piece. Speaking of which, you can get the refill boards or the changed out boards for $34 each, and they each come with the frame on top. You have a choice of 2 different frame colors, black or white. I chose white. And when you order your refill boards, you can choose either white or black for that top frame section. Aside from the actual boards themselves, there are also accessories you can get to put on the board. They've got a little slide-on cork board, a little slide-on key holder. You can get the magnet strip, and you can buy magnets or push pins to go with those. And then there's a cup, which you can use to hold pens, which is what I'm doing. They have them in different sets. You can buy them individually for like 10 bucks or something for each little piece, or maybe more than that depending on how big they are. Or you can buy their little combo sets. That's what I got. I got the one that has one of the little key holders, the cup, and the magnet, and then I got a set of the magnets as well, and those little sets are around 30 bucks. And I'm happy with the ones I got. We used the cup holder for the pens that I have on the board. The key holder is empty when I took this video, but that's where Jesse and the kids can stick their keys. I keep mine in my purse because my car is keyless. And then the little magnet can hold papers. I tested the little magnet's strength. I was able to hold both one sheet of paper as well as an envelope with a few papers. I don't know if I would go much thicker than that. So if you get a big old fat packet of mail, I wouldn't necessarily use those tiny little magnets to hold it, but they're adequate for like a relatively slim envelope or one sheet of paper. Now, a big thing about this board is personalization. I'm gonna actually talk about that later in the video, but I will say off the top, when it comes to the price, the personalization is a big plus. I'll talk a little bit more about that later though, because I have to talk about one of my personal boners that happened with this particular whiteboard. But before I do, I want to talk about the packaging. Now, I did not save it. I'd hoped to film this video earlier, but I decided to give it another week to put it into use, and I'm glad I did because I have some thoughts on that. But it came in a big cardboard box, and it had inside of the cardboard box more cardboard on the corners of the board to protect it. There was also protective wrapping on it. It was well packaged. The box wasn't full of like packing peanuts or anything like that. It was kind of loose in the box, but the board itself was super like protected. So my board came and it didn't have any dings or anything on it, which I thought was great, especially for the cost of this thing. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't any dings on it now, and again, I'll talk about that in a few minutes. I'm gonna just continue going in sort of the direction of how we use this board. The mounting hardware. The mounting hardware is really nice in and of itself. It's flat against the wall. The way the mounting hardware works, you can hook your board onto it and then take it off, which is a good thing because, you know, the whole interchangeable boards thing wasn't gonna work for me because I don't have high ceilings. I don't have a fancy McMansion house. I have a house with low ceilings. I live in a high cost of living area, and I don't get to have a fancy house with high ceilings like some of the planner famous people I've seen who've showed these boards on social media. The idea of taking the board in and out wasn't gonna be possible based on where I wanted to hang it above the beadboard we're putting in that's still not finished yet. My husband pointed out that you can absolutely take the board on and off very easily of the mounting hardware. That was something I was worried about. And it also, I don't think I got good footage of this, but the way the frame is set up, the mounting hardware hooks onto the frame, not the individual boards. So it's pretty secure, although I will say the board itself is kind of loose in the whole situation. So when you write on it, you do get like a kind of a metallic sound of it kind of bouncing back and forth. It's not gonna fall out, but that can be a little obnoxious. There is one quibble my husband had specifically with the mounting hardware, and this is from him because he's the one who put it up there for me. I try to stay away from power tools if at all possible. He said that the drywall anchors that came with the kit to put it on the wall sucked, and he had to replace them with his own drywall anchors. His suggestion was, this is coming from my husband, his suggestion was, if you are going to mount this somewhere, either find a stud like him or use your own drywall anchors, because the ones that come with it are kind of garbage. So that takes care of the packaging to get it here and getting it up on the wall. But what about the quality of the actual piece? The board itself is beautiful. You can do so many different things there. They have multiple layouts. You can personalize colors. You can personalize the different headers on these things, monthly calendars. I have a weekly calendar because I wanted to use it for meal planning, so I put what's for dinner. They have an example with like meal 1, meal 2, or Monday through Sunday. The one thing I didn't do, and I fucking annoyed that I didn't do it, is have it be Friday through Thursday. That's like how I post our meals for the family, because that's how our custody runs. You know, we start our custody week on a Friday evening and end it on Friday morning. So doing Friday through Thursday for dinners is the easiest way to show it. And so when I put a fresh meal plan up there, I have to start on Friday and work my way around. It's a little confusing. You can do it the way I want to, and I actually ordered a second board that's not here yet, that's Friday through Thursday, to just swap it out, and I'll save this one for a rainy day. So in terms of personalization, I'm giving the chef kiss, because there's a lot of options. Erin Condren is great for personalization, and there is a lot you can do with these boards with the various options, and I love that. I think that that is fantastic. So when it comes to the price, do I think that it's worth it just for the personalization? Not necessarily, but I will say that the personalization is an option that makes this, for me, a more fun choice than, say, something from like Home Goods. On the other side of this coin is the quality. Jesse and I both agree on this. We put the board up there, we looked at it, we took it on and off, we reused it. The quality of the construction of this thing is great. Aside from like the kind of wobbliness when you're riding on it, so you hear a little bit of the metal kind of banging back and forth. Aside from that, it feels high quality in terms of construction. It doesn't feel like it's gonna fall apart. It doesn't feel shoddy. And I know what shoddy feels like, because in my favorites video, I talked about my gallery wall in a box, those frames, those things feel shoddy. This thing actually feels high quality. Where it doesn't feel quality is the finish. I had seen out on the interwebs people complaining that their black frame chipped really easily, and I figured maybe it was because it was black paint. But we have had the same problem with the white paint. Now, thankfully, most of it's hidden by the accessories we've put on, and it's chipped from when we put the board up, and we weren't violent with it. And it actually, some of the chipping came from trying to put the accessories on. Like the paint flaked off that easily, and it was flaking off within minutes of us starting to handle it, which for something that costs that much money, that's kind of garbage. Like, I don't appreciate that. So it feels like they went all in on construction, but then kind of out with the finish of it. So if I had a major piece of constructive criticism, it would be to use a much tougher paint or a much tougher finish on the actual like frame parts of the board. It feels kind of cheap. And for $74 for the kit, that's not great. The funny thing is, I have kind of felt that way about some of the other office products that came out. Like some of them I loved the color, or maybe I loved the pattern, but it felt like they kind of got most of the way there and then sort of missed the landing. And that's kind of how I'm feeling about this whiteboard. Part of the reason I wanted to test this thing out for a week was because I wanted to test out getting the pen off. I, again, had seen people say out on the internet that it took alcohol to take off the markers off of this thing, which kind of bummed me out. And I assumed they were talking about wet erase markers, because those usually do take something to scrub it off, or maybe Sharpie. It's not a traditional dry erase surface. It's like a kind of a metal material with like a white sheen on it. So I figured it would be a problem. I wasn't gonna use wet erase markers. I was just using plain old Expo dry erase markers. I happen to have some of them. So I was like, I'll use these. Hopefully these wipe off well. So I wrote them on there, and I will say, when you're writing on there and you make a mistake, like spelling something wrong or whatever the case may be, they wipe off just fine. And my kids, as you could see from showing this, my kids decided to make alterations to my meal plan for this week. They also did not have trouble wiping the board off, and that was within 1 or 2 days of me writing on it was when they did that. However, after a week, when I was trying to clean the board off to put the new meal plan on, I got some of it off with a dry cloth. That didn't work all the way. So then I used the little spray bottle, which they give you with the board. They give you a little spray bottle to fill with something. I'm just gonna say now, water doesn't work. I tried water didn't do shit. So I wound up grabbing, I don't have any like rubbing alcohol or alcohol floating around my house that off the top of my head. So I grabbed some of the Erin Condren, the little wipes that they sold, or I don't know if they still sell them or not. I have a couple packs of them. I love them for my monitor and for my glasses. The little alcohol wipes for surfaces. One of those did the trick, and then I just used a microfiber cloth to kind of dry it down before I wrote the next meal plan on it. I will also say the way I'm using this is dinner on every day, and then in the 8th box, it's a reminder for the week. It's been really handy to have it up there. It has been extreme, but now RJ, instead of asking me what's for dinner, now asks me, when are you gonna start making dinner 15 times a day? So sooner or later, I'm just gonna have to muzzle him. You think I'm joking? If you think I'm joking, you don't have a 13-year-old boy. So overall, my thoughts on this whiteboard. Overall, I really like it. I don't think it's worth $74, but I really like it. Do I think it's worth more than like the 20 bucks I'd spend on a whiteboard at Target? Absolutely. You get to personalize it. If the finish was better, if like the finish on the board was better, like the paint and everything, even not counting the markers not wiping off, if the whole thing was slightly better quality, like just the finishing on the board being better, then I would say it's still pricey but worth it. But I think because of the finish being kind of shitty, it's overpriced for what it is. And I think for the system, it would probably have been more reasonable to have it be like 54 or 60 bucks, maybe. I'm still gonna use it, but do I recommend you go out and buy it? Only if you really want the personalization and it's gonna look nice with your decor, and you're gonna be okay with either touching up the paint or putting the accessories on to cover up any chips. I actually had a different chalkboard I was gonna put up in the kitchen for my meal plans, but then when these things came out, I actually wanted to order them because I knew it would look nicer with not only my kitchen's general color scheme, but I'm gonna be doing a gallery wall on the opposite wall in white frames, and I thought the whole thing would look pretty together. So it absolutely matches my kitchen. It's gonna be personalized. Like nobody sells a Friday through Thursday meal plan board, and so as soon as that new board comes in, it's gonna be fantastic for me. I am an ideal customer for it. I still think it's pricey. So if it's gonna be perfect for you and your kitchen and your needs, and you have the money to spend on it, then absolutely. But it's not something you need to get. It's not something that is, I've seen some people refer to it as an investment piece. Like, dude, no, it's a whiteboard. It's an overpriced whiteboard that can be awesome for specific people, but for everybody else, just go to like Target or Home Goods and get one there. So that's my thoughts on it. I hope that that was helpful for you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you have something else you'd like me to review, whether it's an item like that or you want to hear about something else I'm using that you want to hear me talk more candidly about, because I feel like I was kind of candid in this video, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.